Good evening and welcome to the session. We will just wait a couple of minutes for others to join. In the meantime, if you would like to discuss anything, please feel free to use your mic and speak up. I am audible and the screen is visible, right? This is the tech check. Am I audible? Okay, thank you. So you have been solving the assignments till now. Any issues? Any challenges while solving those assignments?
No, last time I asked you and I was able to solve.
Um, okay, but when that assignment for bigger question, right?
It was fifth actually.
Uh, Ma'am, can you please come closer to mic?
It was from assignment fifth and we were discussing about four.
Uh, okay. Uh, which assignment are you talking about? Can you tell me now? I'll have a look. Assignment 3, right?
No, I was talking about fifth one, the most recent one. And I was not able to get that bid wala question like 1 lakh rupees bid. It was given to contractor was
Okay. So,
bonus and penalty wala question.
yeah. So, did you get it now, or would you like me to uh, repeat it for you?
No, I got it. But last question I didn't got, and my answer was wrong actually. So I don't know. I was not able to solve that last question in the
Uh,
assignment fifth.
okay. Of assignment 5. Let me just have a look.
Uh, Last question.
Okay, last question, assignment 5. The project will incur a minimum total cost of when the project duration is. Okay, this one,
Uh,
right?
uh,
I mean, for question number 8 to 15, you were able to solve. Wait a minute, let me show that
I
as.
was Yes, I was able to solve that. My answer. I calculated that, but it was wrong. It is wrong. I don't know what mistake I have done or what. But I'm not getting that today. I have seen that, but it was wrong actually. What?
Okay, so I have not actually solved this question. So, what is the cost that you are getting at 13 days? From
Uh,
from previous part, we can see that. Okay, at 14 days you would have gotten you got the right answer. At 12 days indirect cost also you got the right answer. So that means you have calculated
yes.
for each and every day, right?
Yeah, actually yes. I was calculated, and I don't know how I got that answer wrong. So actually
uh,
it was I got 42,650, 13 days, and
no, but that is the accepted answer, right? 42,650 at 13 days.
is it?
Yeah, that is the right answer.
got, well, maybe this. Ah, yes, sorry, sir. 14th one, the indirect cost of the project if the duration is reduced to 12 days.
Okay, so this
Ah,
can be solved directly itself, right? What is the indirect cost per day? Indirect cost per day is 800. So if duration is reduced to
ah,
12,
yes.
so 12 into 8, 9600,
Okay, okay. That way.
right?
Okay. So it was so, yes, it was so simple. I have calculated so much for
Okay.
that.
Yeah. Any other question?
No, not right now.
Okay. Uh, so it's already 16:05. I mean 18:05. Do you want to wait a couple of minutes, or should we start?
You can wait.
Okay. So maybe we'll start by 6:08.
Okay.
Guys, we were just discussing previous assignments doubts. Do you have any query related to previous assignments or previous contents?
Hello.
Yeah, hello, sir.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Sir, one query from fifth assignment
Okay.
uh, means that crashing can be called as an fast tracking.
Uh, okay. So, which question would it be? Let me.
First question, sir. First question from assignment number fifth, sir.
Okay.
Fast tracking is an activity which is means which brings the activity in parallelism, and
Y-
crashing is about the
mm,
duration reduction.
yeah.
But
So,
both the points are related to means crashing only, no, sir.
uh,
Means reducing duration.
no, actually not.
Actually,
Yeah.
okay.
So, uh, yeah, this was supposed to be the last point of discussion that day, but
Okay.
as uh, most of the people got quite bored with the repetitive numericals,
Okay.
yeah, I did not include that, but I will discuss it today. So let me just add it. Uh, okay, so we will discuss that point. Let me start the session. Welcome once again. Good evening, everyone. The course is Project Planning and Control. This is regarding week 6 contents. The course instructor is Professor Koshy Verghese at IIT Madras. I am Venugopal Mahajan, PhD fellow at IIT Delhi. So, coming,
Yes.
yeah. So, were you saying something?
No, sir.
Okay. So, coming to the overview, we know that we have been discussing scheduling mostly, and uh, last fourth week we had float calculations. We will see some float application today also, and in fifth week last session we had crashing. So this is the content for today, but before that there are three terms. I am writing it down for you: crashing, fast tracking, and splitting. Okay, so what was the purpose of crashing? The purpose of crashing was to reduce the duration as well as to reduce cost, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And how did we do crashing?
Critical path.
Okay, so we found out some activities that could be crashed. We found out that okay, for how much cost would it crash, and what would be a reduction by reducing the difference between indirect and direct cost, right? So that was kind of what we did in crashing. But in crashing we did not interfere with the network that we made initially, right? If initially our network was uh, A, B, C, you didn't change the order, right? You just crashed the activities. You just tried to reduce the duration in crashing,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
right? So let's say this was 876. Your total project duration would have been 21 days. By reducing, let's say, if you could reduce to 543, so your overall duration would have come to 12, right? But at some enormous cost. So that is one way of reducing duration. What is another way? Fast tracking. Fast tracking, it talks about doing activities in parallel. Let's say A is supposed to be your first activity. So you have A, you have B, and in parallel you can start C also. So 876. What is the duration now? That was 21 days here. It became 15 days here in fast tracking. But what did you do? You actually changed the network logic, right?
Yes, sir.
So by changing the network logic, by moving the activities that were seemingly in sequence, now doing them in parallel, that is fast tracking. Okay, we are not talking about the cost effect here. Okay, and we have discussed other relationships. So instead of having a finish to finish relationship with B and C, sorry, finish to start relationship is there, right? From B to C, it could be start to start also, and that would also mean the same, save you the same time. So this is fast tracking. Now splitting the activities, this is one thing. All these three things are of reducing the activity duration, right? Reducing the project duration. So can splitting the activity help you save some time?
Yes, sir.
How?
फॉर एग्जाम्पल हम लोग जो फ्री फ्लोट है ना सर,
हाँ.
जो फ्री फ्लोट को हम लोग सपोज बी सी कोई भी अगर हमारा डेडलाइन से जो ज़्यादा रहेगा उसको हम कम करने के लिए जो आगे वाले को स्प्लिट करेगा तो थोड़ा थोड़ा, तो इसका जो हमारा डेडलाइन है वो इक्वल कर सकते हैं.
ओके, बट हमने एक्टिविटी को स्प्लिट किया या जो फ्लोट अवेलेबल था उसको स्प्लिट किया?
यस सर.
नहीं, आई एम आस्किंग यू कि फ्लोट को स्प्लिट कर रहे हैं या एक्टिविटी को?
एक्टिविटी जो क्रिटिकल पाथ जो भी होते हैं उसमें
Yeah.
कोई रिड्यूस करेंगे.
Okay, can you give some example, just some activity example?
फॉर एग्जाम्पल अभी जो आपने लिखा ना सर, ए टू बी टू सी,
हाँ.
ये एक्टिव ड्यूरेशन 8 डेज है, बी 7 और सी 6 है.
या.
फॉर एग्जाम्पल ये जो ड्यूरेशन है 21 डेज, ठीक है. हम लोग अगर ए को कम करने के लिए अगर 2 दिन और 3 दिन जो भी है, कम करने के समय पे जो सी जो है, जो टोटल ड्यूरेशन अगर हमारा डेडलाइन से ज़्यादा रहेगा तो उसको कम करने के लिए मेरा हिसाब ये है, जो
Okay.
हमारा डेडलाइन है, प्रोजेक्ट से भी ज़्यादा अगर रहेगा तो ड्यूरेशन।
Okay. So let me put it in a different way. We will go by activity splitting. Okay. Let's say activity A, first activity excavation है, right? Excavation
यस सर,
है,
यस सर,
you got it 8 day duration.
यस
Why?
सर।
Because एक बड़ा सा प्लॉट है, इसको पूरा B-3 तक एक्सकेवेट करते जाना है. Now let it be 100 meter by 100 meter. So, and yeah, I know 8 days or eight. Even if you keep it 8 weeks, it will be less duration only. But let's suppose it is 8 weeks. Now, for activity A, what you have planned is 8 weeks. But if you reduce activity A into, if you split it into multiple parts, like uh, let's say for A1 is excavating this part and making a road kind of,
3 days।
ताकि और नीचे इक्विपमेंट नीचे लाया जा सके, राइट? सो लेट इट बी 1 वीक इसमें. फिर यहाँ पर जो बाकी का एक्सकेवेशन है, सिमिलरली यहाँ पर एक सेकेंड रोड बनाने का, ताकि यू टर्न मिल जाए, अच्छा अच्छे से काम हो जाए. सो 1 वीक इसमें. एंड रिमेनिंग जो नीचे का बचा हुआ टेबल बनाना, खोदते जाना, वो A3 से 5 वीक्स इसमें. एंड 1 वीक फॉर A1 और A2 को जो भी हमने रोड बनाया वो रोड को भी पूरा खोदना है. यू हैव टू एक्सकेवेट इट, राइट? सो लेट इट बी A4. सो A4 इज 1 वीक. सो वॉट यू डिड इज you made it into A1, A2, A3, A4, what was supposed to be your A activity, right? And now you can say that, okay, let's say activity A1, A2, A3. So A1 initially, then you can do A2 as well as A3, and then you can do A4. So did it reduce your whole duration? You will say that this was 8, right? 1, 1, 5 and 1. So now it become 1, 1, 5 and 1. So how much does it come to? It come to 7. So this is how you split one activity into smaller activities, and you kind of reduce the duration by fast tracking. What else could have been done? That A3 activity, you could have multiplied the resources here, so twice the resources, so that would have been completed in, let's say, not in 5 but 3 weeks only. So then your duration would have been 5 weeks. So that is an example of a splitting. Okay, so these three things from the theoretical perspective of last session. Sir,
सर
do you
अभी
agree?
तक
Sir, can't we do splitting in fast tracking, sir? We can do
Yeah,
in fast tracking also.
yeah. Actually, see, these are just umbrella terms, and that you will have to use more than one term or more than one technique at the same time on site. So, yeah. Sir, do you agree? And is the difference between fast tracking, splitting, and crashing clear to everybody?
हाँ, क्लियर है सर।
Okay.
सो अभी
Sir,
तक
in
जो हम लोग
crashing,
काम
sir,
किया,
Yeah.
in crashing we don't reduce, we don't make in parallel activities.
So, can you bring your mic closer?
Like sir, one minute. Sir, am I audible now?
Yeah.
Sir, I am saying in crashing you said that the activity A, B, C is just like start to finish. But in fast tracking, what we have done, A activity and C activity starting in parallel.
No. In fast tracking, I showed you two examples that it could be Wait a minute. Where did you guys go? Just a moment, guys. Yeah. So in fast tracking, what you could have done is you could have done B and C in parallel. A is your initial first activity, or what you could have done is you could have started C as soon as B started. So there could be start to start relationship between B and C. B and C. So that's
sir.
why I marked it like that. So A and C are not in parallel. B and C are in parallel.
Okay, but resources will be the cost of resources will be increased for crashing as well as fast tracking in splitting as well.
Sir, when we are talking about direct cost will be there as soon as you start doing the job, right? So
Yes, sir.
resource cost is direct cost. So as soon as you start working for activity C, whatever the direct cost is, you will start incurring it.
We if we increase the resources,
Uh, okay, but there is no information given to you right now about increasing the resources in fast tracking. In crashing, it was given to you, right? That you are somehow increasing the resources, that's why your duration is reducing. In fast
yes,
tracking, no
sir.
such information is given to you right now. So if you increase your resources, it would be like fast tracking and crashing combined.
Okay.
Yeah. Any other point of discussion for this? Okay. So let's come to this session's contents. We will be talking about resource loading, resource leveling, minimum moment algorithm, improvement factor, resource allocation. So my first question to you guys is, what do you mean by resource? Because I see this kind of questions coming in quiz assignment and quiz regularly. So what do you mean by resource?
Man, machine, material, which are being
Okay.
used everywhere, sir. Means can be called as in resources.
Okay, man, machine, material. Anything else?
Uh,
It's
Everything which can be
yeah.
utilized for the means project.
So what about time and money?
Means time and money are main resources.
Okay. So so you have got kind of two resources, two categories of resources right now. Material, consumable, right?
Yeah.
That uh, it is going to be consumed, and these two, hopefully, you can use it again and again, right?
And what about money, sir? Means
Yeah,
money once consumed.
yeah. Money is also a consumable
Yeah.
resource. Okay, so till now what happened is, even in terms of crashing and all, whatever activities we have been doing till now, we found out, we calculated one duration. How did we calculate the duration? We assumed that, okay, let there be x number of resources, let y be the productivity, so let the z be total quantum number of work, and from that we calculated, okay, this is going to be our duration of that activity. And then once we calculated the duration of that activity, we just glossed over the resource requirement. We were like, we have already decided that this is the number of resource, so anyway, if we are doing network analysis, we assume that this number of x number of resources available to us. Okay, that we assumed. But anyway, once you have done network analysis, you want to find out actually how many resources are you going to use, right? So do you think you should take each and every resource for each activity and try to calculate what is the resource demand? You understood my point, right? Let's say there are 10 activities each consuming 3 or 4 different types of resources. So for each activity and for each resource, do you need to care about them in detail?
No, sir.
Why not? I guess Pareto principle, right? That let's just take care of the important ones and
No, no, sir. Means I mean to say that if we are talking about machineries,
yeah,
means each type of work doesn't require that same type of machines, sir. For example, cranes, means heavy cranes.
yeah,
If they are for uplifting beams or columns in big project,
okay,
that crane can't be used in excavation work.
yeah.
For that,
Uh, so
excavation.
so for different activities there are going to be different resources, right?
Yes, sir.
Uh, so what we would try to do is we will go step by step. First of all, we will do some resource loading. What is resource loading? Simply we will just be making the resource profile of, yeah, yeah. Were you saying something? Okay, so we will just be making a resource profile of on which day what is the number of resources required. In this session, in the exercises that you will see in this course, we will be focusing on either one or two resources, but primarily one resource for your numerical, one type of resource for your numerical. So we'll be making a resource profile, then we will be charting the cumulative resource demand. Then once we have done that, next we would try to re- do resource leveling. What do you mean by resource leveling?
Resource leveling is a method or technique which is basically used when our resources are overutilized in for the particular activity. Then we do resource optimization. So this is resource leveling.
Okay, so uh, some words that I heard, I will just write it. Okay, so there was over uh, utilization and optimization, right?
Yes, sir.
So so then you do leveling. And what does this leveling give you? What is the final output?
Uh, it gives that how many resources we are using for that day.
Okay, for that day, how many resources we are using? Uh, Everybody, you performed the
Did you
activity.
speak?
You performed the resource leveling activity. What what is the final output or final takeaway from the whole
It, it,
work?
it reduces time and cost.
Reduces time and cost? No, it does not. It does not. So, I mean, you have gone through the sessions. What is the final outcome, or what is the final takeaway from the whole exercise of resource leveling? I will give you one hint. It is directly linked to your course title.
We can control. We can do controlling of our machinery.
Okay. No, we have not started working yet, so we are not controlling it. We are yet in the planning stage only. So,
We are
what?
managing.
Yeah.
We are managing sources.
Okay, managing sources. Mm. See, the only direct info that you will get from a resource leveled histogram is when to start which activity, so that there is no overutilization, no over allocation of resources. So we have been working on planning, right? So at the end of resource leveling also, what you will get is that initially you planned each activity to start at early start time, but now for better allocation of resources, what should be the start time of each activity, start time and end time. That's it, that's what you are getting. Okay, then we will see one algorithm. There are many out there. So, and even this minimum moment algorithm, there have been lot of revisions in this also. Then we will see improvement factor and resource allocation. So let's move on to some numericals. uh, we will draw the resource profile and we will see what it is. Okay, for the given project, determine the resource profile of this for this project if the activities are to start on their EST, on their LST. So these are the first two parts. The third is, let's do first two parts first. So what you have been given, A to J 10 activities, their IPS, their duration, and their resources. What should be your first step?
To draw the network.
Okay, to draw the network diagram and calculate EST LST, right? So let's do it. This is the network diagram that I have already drawn. You guys can check the relationships. Let's just start putting the values. 1 4 1 3 1 3. Then as soon as you come here, it would be 5 and 2 7. That would be 4 and 2 6. That would be 3 and 3 6. That would be 6 plus 1 7. 7 plus 3 10. So your whole project duration becomes 10. Now if we reduce it, hmm, 10, and then this becomes 8, this becomes 8 and 4. Okay, so let's also calculate the float. Okay, I'm writing the float above. This becomes 3, this is 3, right? Yeah, and how much is this? This is 4. Right? So can anybody cross check if the values are correct, or I will just assume that they are correct and move forward?
Yes, sir, it's correct.
Okay, so let me take a picture as we will be working on the next page. Yeah. So what about day 1? Only activity A, right? Only activity A is going on. How many resources for activity A? 7. So let's mark the days and activity first. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. These are your days. Okay, let me have the activities here. A B C D E F G H I J. These are your activities now. Okay, so let this be the total and this be the cumulative. So we will get some profile here itself. Okay, let's have it. On day 1, only activity A, how many resources? 7. on day 2, as we have got early start time, on day 2 each of these 4 activities are starting, B, C, D, G, right? And so B how much? 1 resource, C 4, D 3, and G 5. So let's just put in the durations also. 4 days. What about C? 3 days. What about D? 2 days. What about G? 2 days. Okay. Now coming to the next activity E, starting at EOD 4 going to EOD 6. So 2 days. Yeah. E, what is the resource utilization? 2. Right? 2 is the resource utilization for E. What about F? EOD 3 to EOD 6, 3 days, and resource is 6. So resource is 6, right? And what about activity H? H starts on EOD 5 for 2 days, and resource utilization is 8. So H, EOD 5 and 8. What about I? 1 day on 7th, right? And resource utilization 9. And for J you have got 10. Okay, so this is what your resource distribution looks like for each activity each day. Let's sum it up. 7, this is how much? 12, 12, or wait a minute, 4, no, not 12, right? 13. Yeah, so 13, 13, 6 and
11,
11, 9, 16,
16,
17.
17, 10.
Yeah, does this look like a resource profile to you for for early start times? Now if you have to have the cumulative utilization, you just add it up. 17, 20, 30, 33, 44, 53, 53 and 16, how much? 69, 6, 86, 96, 106, 116. So all you have to do is you have to plot the histogram and the curve. Going to another part. Yeah, latest start times. Just changing the color for this. Okay, as you can see that activity A, C, E, D, F, I, J, all these activities are on the critical path, so there won't be any change for these. The only changes would be for which activities? B, H and G. So for B it would be 5 to 8, 7 to 10, and 5 to 7, right? Yeah, no, not 5 to 8, 4 to 8, right? 4 to 8, 8 to 10, and 5 to 7. So for B it would be this, and for activity H what is the resource utilization? 8. And for activity G it is 6 and 7. 6 and 7 it would be. Guys, you can follow multiple colors, right? So LST is in blue color. Now if you if you have the sum total, it would be 7. 4 plus 3 again 7. Here 1 is already moved, right? Like this is moved, and this is moved. So yeah, 7. This would be 10. What about this now? 1, 2 and 6, 9. 1 and 2, 3, 9, 6, 9. 9 plus 5, 14. What about this? 1 plus 5, 6. 6 plus 9.
Hello?
Yeah.
Sir, B should be late start is 4, from 4 to 8. It's not 5 to 8, I think.
Okay. Let us see. B late start is 4. 4 means end of the day 4. End of the day 4 means it will be starting by 5, right? And the duration is 4 days only. So let's see. End of the day 4 means starting at 5, and duration is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. So I think that is the what is the query then? Is it clear? Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we were at day 7. So 1 plus 5, 6. 6 and 9, 15. Day 8, 11. And day 9 and 10, they are like 18. So you have got this also, latest start time. I am not plotting the histogram. You guys can do it very easily. Okay. Or do you want me to do it?
A histogram we can do it on Excel.
See, these are like 10-day histogram. You don't even need Excel for this.
Yes, sir. We can do, sir. It is not a big issue.
Okay. So the third part is the contractor wishes to carry out some resource leveling smoothing in order that there are no excessive peaks and troughs in his labor schedule. By visual inspection, indicate the adjustment you would make in activities in order to perform resource scheduling. So see, what you have to answer is the adjustment you would make in activities, right? And what adjustment can you make right now? Just move some activities here or there, some change their starting or end start time, right? So yeah, let me draw this for you. Maybe then it would be so that you can see both the peaks for the first time. I mean, what is the maximum value? Maximum value is 10, right? Just a moment. I am doing this just so that we can have a better visualization. That's it. Okay. So that would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. So this is your days. What about labor requirement? Labor requirement, I would put it as we are going maximum till 18, right? So I'll put 0 here, and we can't go with 2, so I will go with 3. Okay, So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15, 18. So let's draw for the EST first. Can you guys read me this line? 7, 13, 13, 11, and I will just plot it, okay? 7, 30, wait a minute, 13, 13, 11. What next? 9, 16, right? 9, and then you have got somewhere around 16. 17, 10, 10. So you have got 17, and then for next 3, 10, 10. So if you make the histogram, how would it look like? It would look something like this, right? And what about LST 777? So it would be 777 till 3. Then you have got 10, 9, 14. So 10, not here, 10, 10, 9, and then next value is 14. So somewhere around here. What next? 15, 15, then 11. So 11, you are coming down to this point, then 11, and then the rest 3 are 18, right? So you can see that the curves, I mean, you have got some buildings or some mountains here. What the contractor is asking you to do is, by visual inspection, this is the only reason why I first asked that if you can do it, and yet I did it, because you have to answer this question by visual inspection. Indicate the adjustment you would like to make in order to reduce the peaks and troughs. Okay. Is there anything you would suggest that we do in this case? What should we do?
We can use the float, sir. We can use the free float, and we can shift our resources so that it may reduce.
Okay. So see, there are only 3 activities with some floats: B, H, and G. Right. So looking at the figure, can you determine how to shift it? For B, H, and G, just by looking at the figure, can you determine? Yeah. Anybody? See, one more thing, this topic, basically what we study is trial and error only. So there are no perfect answers in this case. Your questions will be framed such that you follow the straight line manner and get one answer. But right now in discussion, there is no perfect answer. We will have to check each and every answer if it is correct or not. See, you have got 2 curves. This is for your EST, this is for your LST. And what he is asking is that it shouldn't have many peaks or many troughs. And one idea I got was to use the floats. B, G, and H have floats. B and H 3 days shared, and G 4 days.
Sir, we can do one thing, sir.
Yeah.
The activity G, which is 5 in the earliest start.
Yeah.
We can shift by 1 day. We can use float of 1 day there.
Okay.
Then from 16, it will reduce.
So so G is here on 2 and 3. So right.
Yes, sir.
And if you move it 1 day, so 13 would become 8 and this 11 would become 16 now.
Yes, sir.
So you see that just by having, just by looking at the figure, it doesn't seem so initiative, right? Let us try what you just said, okay? Or some other I would. Okay, so if G shifts, this would be 5 and 5, so it would become 7, 8, 7, 8, 13, 16, and rest of the values are the same. So do you think that this is an improvement? We don't know actually. Did we improve it or not? So how can you say if the change we made was an improvement or not? Any way to comment on it? You have already seen the lectures, so you know the answer.
सर हम लोग इसमें स्प्लिटिंग भी कर सकते हैं ना?
नहीं सर, इसमें स्प्लिटिंग अभी अलाउड नहीं है, क्योंकि जब तक आपको दिया, जब तक स्पेसिफिकली लिख कर नहीं दे, तब तक यू डोंट हैव टू स्प्लिट द एक्टिविटीज.
ओके.
Okay, so we don't know if we make some changes, will it, the improvement is actually an improvement or not. So we will answer this question very soon, but with some new numerical. Okay. In the following network, manually label your resources with maximum of 9 laborers per day. So you have been given a limit now. Previously you didn't have any objective, so that's why also you were not into having such visual inputs. Okay, also improve the daily resource use. Now this is a very big thing coming. Start low, increase the resources, use gradually until the peak is middle of the project, and then gradually decrease it towards the end of the project, right? So what they are talking about is that your resource utilization should also be like this, right? Why should your resource utilization be like this?
शुरू में तो हमको रिसोर्सेस ज़्यादा चाहिए सर, व्हीकल जो भी है, बाद में काम होने के बाद कम कर देंगे इसको धीरे धीरे.
Okay, so but the issue, कॉन्ट्रैक्टर ने आपको रिक्वेस्ट किया है कि मेक श्योर शुरू में रिसोर्सेज कम हो और ग्रेजुअली इंक्रीज हो. सो
नहीं, डिपेंड ऑन द वर्क ड्यूरेशन, इसके हिसाब से हम प्लान करेंगे ना सर.
ओके, सो वर्क ड्यूरेशन के हिसाब से प्लान करना है. सो व्हाट वी वुड डू इज वी वुड अगेन मेक द नेटवर्क, राइट? नेटवर्क बनाते हैं, लेट्स सी व्हाट इट इज. what kind of network are we supposed to get here? A, then we have got BCD, then BBC, and we have got DEF. Okay, so it seems simple enough. A, then you have got B, you have got C, then you have got D, then what about activity E? You have got activity E. What is the duration? 5 days. What about activity F? You got B and C, 7 days. And what about activity G? 3 days. Okay. Does this seem like a correct network to you? If it is, we will start by calculating the duration. Yeah, we have to do this exercise multiple times. It is correct, right?
Yes.
Okay. 2, 4, 6, 2 and 6, 8, 2 and 9, 11. Then here it becomes 8. This is 6, 6 plus 5, 11, 8 and 7, 17. So this becomes 17, 17 and 3, 20. Okay. So it is a
सर 15 है ना, F is 15 है ना?
yeah, yeah, F is 15. So this would be 15 and 3, 18. Yeah. So 18, 15, 15, 8, 8, 2, 2, 0. This is our critical path. What about the rest of these activities? That would be 15 and 9, 6. This would be 15 minus 5, 10. So 10 minus 4, 6. Yeah. So we have got it. One limit that we have to remember this time: maximum 9 labors. Okay. What is our critical path now?
ACF.
Sir, for the B activity,
Yeah.
our latest finish will be, we will take minimum of E and F. It will be 8.
Yeah. True that. So 8 and then this would be 4. Right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is our critical path? ACFG.
ACFG.
So we will try it in a different manner. We will just first allocate the resources to these activities, as this is our critical path. Okay. Resources A is 3 days and duration is 2 days. Right. So let me have days here: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. And number of resources: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. So for A, what you have got? Resources is 3. Right. So let's draw A first. What about activity C now? ACFG is a critical path. Duration is 6. ACFG. Let's just draw these 4 activities first. Duration is 6 and resource is 4. Then F is resources 2 and duration is 7. And for G, resources 4, right? these activities plotted. Now let's start with remaining activities. B, D, E. What about activity B? 4 days, 2 to 6, right? And what is the resource? Resource is also 2. So adding these two, this is our activity B, right? Then what about activity D? Activity D is 2 to 11, 9 days. Resource utilization is 3. So 2 to 11, and with resources how much? 3. So 1, 2, 3. Let me do it in boxes. How many days are over now? 3 days is still remaining for 3 resources. D1, D2, D3. It is the same activity, right? I have not broken it down. Just the labor requirement is dropping. Just for better visualization, I am doing it like this. What about activity E? 6 to 11 and day 4, resources 4. So 6 to 11. Yeah, with 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And 1, 2, 3, 4. What is this? E1, E2. Can you guys see what we just did right now?
Explain, sir, how did that E1 and E2?
Yeah. See, there are E duration is 5 days. Okay, wait. I didn't. Yeah, it is going to go till 11, right? Yeah. Yeah. For E duration is 5 days. So I just gave it, and number of resources is 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 for each 5 days. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I just loaded the resources one above the other like blocks to get the resource profile. Okay, so this is your resource profile right now.
Yes, sir.
For LST. But what the question says is maximum of 9 labors. So that means you cannot go beyond this 9. So is there any way that is there any part of the resource histogram that is going above 9? First of all, anybody who has questions over what we did just now, coming to this part?
ये जो वावर लोकेशन हो रहा है ना सर, जो अपना
हाँ
ई का जो वावर लोकेशन हो रहा है, इसको हम लोग शिफ्ट करने का कुछ दिन 2 दिन हम थोड़ा शिफ्ट करेंगे तो ठीक हो जाएगा ना सर. अबव 9 डेज का नहीं होगा ना?
हाँ, हम 2 दिन शिफ्ट करेंगे, बट आई मीन टिल दिस हिस्टोग्राम इज इट क्लियर?
यस सर.
तो अब यहाँ पर हमें क्लियरली दिख रहा है कि ठीक है, एक एक्टिविटी है ई जिसकी वजह से हम ओवर अलोकेट हो रहे हैं ऑन डे 7 and 8, राइट?
हाँ, यस सर.
So right now if you do what you suggested, that let's shift E by 2 days, then what would have happened is
Again problem.
Q,
Here.
this becomes E1, and then for next 2 days,
Yes sir. No problem.
right?
Yes sir. Yes sir.
So now the resources are properly allocated, right? So the solution
Yes,
is shift T by 2 days, and you found the answer just by looking at the figure or anything else? just by looking at the figure, you could see the overlap of activities, and you could see, okay, if I shift this activity somehow here or there, I would bring my total allocation down. So there is one question that is there in your quiz. You have to calculate the moment for each figure, right? How do you calculate the moment, or what is a moment? You guys have already gone through physics a lot, right? This is kind of borrowed from physics only.
So moment is force into distance, perpendicular distance.
Yeah, force into perpendicular distance. So if you need to calculate moment, what points do you need? What things do you need? You need some baseline or some base point, some plane from which you will take the perpendicular distance, right?
Yes.
So let's discuss it. Okay, minimum moment. Okay, so what I have drawn is I have drawn two histograms. And moment, we know we have to take moment on this axis. If you calculate the moment, what would it be for this one?
1.5.
Perpendicular distance is 1.5, right? And value is 3. So
Yes, 3 by
1.5
2.
into 3 plus, what about next? 0.5, right? 0.5 into 1 into 2 plus, what about next? 1.5 into 3. What is the total? And in this case, if you calculate, it would be 4 into 1 into 2, 8. And in this case, it would be 4.5 into 4, yeah. So 9 plus this would be 10, right?
Can you explain it again?
Okay, explaining it again. See, moment, if you have to calculate, this is your axis and this is some uniform mass, okay, and let this be x length and this be 1. So if you have to calculate the moment on this axis, how would you calculate it? Distance from center would be x by 2 into its area of volume, right? So x into 1, so x square by 2. This is the moment of this block on this axis. Similarly, coming to minimum moment algorithm, you will take moment on the horizontal axis. So for each day, I mean, these are your days, this is the number of resources, 1 2 3. In first case, right, x square by 2, so x by 2 is 1.5 and x is 3. In this case, 0.5 into 1, 0.5 into 1, 1.5 into 3. So your total moment becomes how much? 10. And in other case, how much does it become? 8. And you see that this is kind of the ideal profile. the second one is your ideal profile. So you can say that for your ideal profile you will get the minimum moment, that is your minimum moment algorithm. And how to calculate the values? It is going to be same, x square by 2 for each day. So it would be sigma xi square by 2. Now let's do one thing. For the previous assignment, let's calculate the moment. Okay, so initially what was your moment? You have to calculate for each 18 days. Any shortcut to calculate it? Is there any shortcut, or we have to go step by step only? See, it's better to go step by step. For case 1, for day 1 3, for day 2 also 3, so that would be 3 square by 2 plus, what about next? 1 2 3 4, for 4 days it would be 9, right? So 9 square by 2 into 4 plus next 2 days 11, so 11 square by 2 into 2 plus again 9, so 1 2 3 for 3 days, right? So 9 square by 2 into 3 plus what about next? 1 2 3 4, 4 days you have got 2 only, so 2 square by 2 into 4 plus 3 square by 2 into 3. Okay, so 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18. So for each day you have got it. Can you help me calculate the values? How much it would be? 1 2 3 4 5 plus into 4 5 6 7 7 plus 2 square by 2 into 2 into 4 8, right? So this comes out to be 435. And if we calculate for the second case, this was first case, and second case, what happened? Second case we shifted it here somewhere, we shifted it such that on day 7 and 8 you have got how much resources being consumed? 7 only. So it would be 2 into 3 square by 2 plus 9 square by 2 into 4 plus 7 square by 2 into 2 plus, now what about this? Is it still 9? Yeah. So 9 square by 2 into 3 plus, instead of 4, 2 square, it is now 5 square, right? Or 6 square. 1 2 3 4 5 6, it is 6. So 6 square by 2 into 2 plus 2 square by 2 into 2 plus 3 square by 2 into 3. What is the value of the moment now? So 9 is again the same. Let me check. Guys, you will have to calculate this for your assignments, right? So this 2 and this 3 becomes 5 and 9 square by 2, how many times you have got? You have got 7 times this, and you have got 7 square by 2, then you have got 2 square by 2, so 20 to 4, that value 4, and instead of 7 you have got so this comes out to be 395. So as you can see that with some correction your moment is also reduced. Can you guys follow this step?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, so you can see that in the figure, in the visual appearance also it is reducing, the effect is good, and from minimum moment algorithm also you can check that the moment is reduced. So yeah, that is an improvement, but is it the maximum improvement? We don't know yet. Okay, we have not worked this out. So what we would do is we would see that in another numerical. Right now is there was one confusion that can activities be split. Now it has been clearly written activities cannot be split. Mm, Before this, let's try something different. Okay. Mm, what do you know about resource allocation? What is resource allocation?
हमारा जो प्रोजेक्ट ड्यूरेशन का जो डेडलाइन उससे ज़्यादा नहीं होना चाहिए, वही ओवर लोकेशन का।
सर अगर रिसोर्सेस ही हमारे पास इतने कम हो कि हमें प्रोजेक्ट डेडलाइन एक्सटेंड करना पड़े तो फिर
नहीं नहीं, ऐसे नहीं कर सकते, उसको स्प्लिट करके थोड़ा एडजस्ट करके ये करना पड़ेगा ना सर,
हाँ
एक्टिविटी
नहीं
के हिसाब से पैरेलल है।
सर, बट देर इज़ नो स्कोप एट ऑल। आई मीन रिसोर्सेस आपके इतने लिमिटेड हैं कि आपको एक्टिविटी ड्यूरेशन बढ़ाना ही, मतलब यू हैव टू एडजस्ट।
एडजस्ट करके तो बजट भी बढ़ जाएगा ना सर।
हाँ बढ़ेगा, बिल्कुल बढ़ेगा, बट प्रॉब्लम है ना हमारे पास रिसोर्स नहीं है।
नहीं नहीं नहीं, रिसोर्स नहीं तो उसको डबल करके कैसे भी इन टाइम कंप्लीट करे, नहीं तो ऐसे बढ़ते जाएगा प्रोजेक्ट की वैल्यू।
हाँ नहीं सर, वही तो बात है कि यू हैव टू, अगर okay, let's do one thing for this activity, for this chart itself that has been given to you, right? 10 activities, ये हमने अभी सॉल्व किया था. This is the first question that we solved, if you see the
यस
values,
सर,
right? So
यस।
उसमें मैक्सिमम रिसोर्सेज पर डे कितना आ रहा था? फर्स्ट वाला, या मैक्सिमम रिसोर्सेज पर डे आ रहा था 17 and 18, right? For this numerical, maximum resource was, if you go by EST, it was 17 on day 7, and if you go by LST, it was 18. Now you can see कि इतना ज़्यादा utilization था, but it has been limited to 10 only. Do you still think you can do it in the same project duration?
Sir, parallel, if we do activities in parallel.
Okay. You only have you have no scope for going into fast tracking, or okay, you can go into those, but for this case not allowed. Okay, fast tracking, splitting, not allowed. What then? how can you do it?
तब ड्यूरेशन बढ़ाना पड़ेगा सर।
ड्यूरेशन बढ़ाना पड़ेगा।
और एक बात है सर,
या
जैसा हमारा जो एक्टिविटी है, फॉर एग्जांपल ये 20% 30% होने के बाद एक्टिविटी बी एंड सी, उसका नेक्स्ट स्टेप जो होता है उसको भी शुरू कर सकते हैं ना।
सर बट रिसोर्स ही अवेलेबल नहीं है तो आप कैसे शुरू करोगे? मतलब आई एग्री कि हमारा 20-30% जैसे ए हो गया है, लेट्स स्टार्ट वर्किंग विद बी, बट ए में ही आपके पूरे 10 रिसोर्सेज अगर एम्प्लॉयड हैं तो आप बी और सी के लिए रिसोर्सेज कहाँ से लाएंगे?
फिर तो डबल करना पड़ेगा सर, रिसोर्सेस तो लेके आने नहीं तो नहीं तो क्या ना, अभी नहीं करेगा ना तो जाते जाते प्रोजेक्ट को फिर हमारा इन टाइम कंप्लीट नहीं तो और रिसोर्सेस ज्यादा करना पड़ेगा, नहीं तो प्रोजेक्ट का वैल्यू बढ़ जाएगा।
हाँ, बट सर प्रॉब्लम यही है कि रिसोर्सेज है ही नहीं हमारे पास, हमारे मैक्सिमम लिमिट लगी है 10 की, बट
ओके।
अगर 10 की लिमिट लगी है तो स्टिल वी हैव टू शेड्यूल इट सम हाउ, राइट?
हम्म।
So how do we schedule it when there is a limit like this? That is the question here. Okay. So क्या करेंगे हम पर डे देखते जाएंगे. Let's make the chart here. Day, activity, resource used, okay, and then as we need it we will increase our table. Okay, so if you talk about day 1, let's make the network. On day 1 activity A is happening, resource utilization is 7, so activity A, resource use 7, remaining is 3, maximum you can have 10, right? So you can go into the rest of the activities, which are 1 1 1 1 for these, right? So on day 2 all 4 activities can start. If you start all 4 activities, we know what is the resource utilization. How many resources will you need? 1 plus C 4 plus 3 plus what is for G 5. So you need 13 resources. Do you have 13 resources?
नहीं नहीं।
नहीं. अगर नहीं, if you don't have 13 resources, then can you start all 4 activities on day 2? If you cannot start, then you have to prioritize. So how do you prioritize? You know from previous solution that your critical path is, it was A, C, D, right? So C and D both were critical. So first thing is, let's do critical activities,
Thrashing.
right? So on day 2 let's start activity C and activity D. How many resources used? 7. Still 3 resources remaining, so that means we can also start activity B also, right? Okay, let me make 2 more columns. Okay, uh, activity running and activity inline. So on day 2 which activities were in line? You will say B, C, D and G were in line. You cannot do all 4, it would be 13 resources, you don't have resources available. C and D are on critical path, so first you do C and D. Still you have got 3 resources unused. B will take only 1 resource, so you do B also. So CDB plus 1, so 8 resources on day 2. So let's keep on marking it. Our limit is 10, right? So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. So day 1 you have got 7, on day 2 you have got 8. Now your activity G has not yet started, but which activities have started? B, C, D. अब we will just be writing the logic. Okay. First logic is जो चल रहा है उसे चलने दे. Like continue the current activity. Second logic, prefer critical activity. So बस ये दो लॉजिक के साथ हम चलते हैं. देन देर आर टू मोर, वी विल सी व्हेन द टाइम कम्स.
अगर क्रिटिकल मेथड में जाने के लिए उसमें 2 एक्टिविटी आएगा तो उसको फिर कैसे ये करेंगे? अगर क्रिटिकल पाथ में 2 आएगा तो
या सो अभी भी हमने देखा था क्रिटिकल पाथ में सी और डी दोनों क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटीज थी, हमने दोनों शुरू कर दी.
उसमें से कौन सा फर्स्ट? अच्छा, दोनों में ऐड करके. अच्छा,
हाँ, हमारे पास रिसोर्सेज अवेलेबल थे इसलिए हमने दोनों कर दी. अगर नहीं होते देन वी वुड हैव चोजन with other rules like choose with minimum EST, दैट जिसको सबसे पहले शुरू होना था उसको पहले कर दो. और इसके बाद भी अगर टाई नहीं टूटे तो मिनिमम फ्लोट. एंड अब भी अगर टाई नहीं टूटे देन इट इज अप टू यू. ओके. सो डे 2 CDB. व्हाट अबाउट डे 3? ये तीनों ही एक्टिविटीज अभी चल रही हैं, BCD, राइट? एंड 8 रिसोर्सेस. व्हाट अबाउट डे 4? डे 4 यू विल सी कि this is 3 and this is how much? 4 5. You will see that your activity D is complete now. Activity B and C are running. So running activities are B and C. And what are the activities in line? Now you can see that activity F is also in line because F के predecessor हो गए. So F and G are in line. बट इनमें से क्रिटिकल एक्टिविटी कौन है? क्रिटिकल पाथ पर है F, राइट? आर यू गेटिंग दिस और नॉट? आर यू गेटिंग दिस और नॉट?
Yes, I'm getting.
Okay. So now F is on the critical path and F के predecessors complete हो गए. So day 4 पर you have got options, but activity B and C are running, so you do them. What is the resource utilized? 7. Resource remaining 3. Now activities in line F and G. G, how many resources? 5. You don't have 5 resources. What about activity F? 6 resources. Do you have 6 resources? No, you don't have 6 resources. So F and G will be in line, but you cannot start them. So next day you have got 7 resource utilization, right? Now what is happening on day 5? Activity C is also complete, only B is remaining. So B you have to continue. Running activity is B. Resource utilized is 1. Now E is also in line because its predecessor are complete. So in line E, F, G. What about the critical activities? E and F are critical. So yeah, if E and F are critical, what is the resource requirement? Only one is being utilized. You have got 8 resources still, 9 resources still. So 9 for E and F, you see 2 and 6, 8. So you can start both, right? E and F, and they are critical also. So B, E, F, and that would make it to 2 plus 6, 9. So on day 5, you have got 9 resources being used. So when is activity E starting? Day 5, I mean end of the day for E and F, end of the day 4 they have started. So till when they will finish on 6 and 7 respectively. Okay, coming to day 6, activities in running, E and F are running, and inline activities G and H, because B is complete now, so you can also start H. Let's see, E and F resources used is how much? 8. 2 remaining. You cannot start G because it will take 5 resource. What about H? H will take 8 resource, so you cannot start H. So on day 6 you have got 8 resources. Right, now let's come to day 7. Activity E is complete now, F is remaining. F, how many resources? So activity running is F. F, it is consuming 6 resources, so 4 resources remaining. Activities in line G and H only. Can you do them? No, you cannot do them. So 6. So day 7 you have got 6 resources only being utilized. Okay. Now coming to day 8, there is no running activity, and you have got 2 options, G and H, or anything else. You have got I also now. I is ready. So you have got G, H, I. Which activity to start now? Another query. So let's check. You are still on EOD 7, right? So if you make it 7 plus 2 9, what about this? This would be 7 plus 1 8, and this would be 7 plus 2 9. This would be 8 plus 3 11.
Yes, H 7 है ना सर?
Yeah.
H is 5
नहीं
to
सी यहाँ पर अब क्या हो रहा है ना, दैट इज़ अ गुड पॉइंट. अभी हमने क्या किया, हम एंड ऑफ द डे 5 पर थोड़ी ना है, वी आर ऑलरेडी एट एंड ऑफ द डे 7. इफ यू लुक एट दिस, वी आर ऑलरेडी एट एंड ऑफ द डे 7, राइट?
ओके.
सो अभी जो हो रहा है ये अपडेटेड शेड्यूल है. वी आर टॉकिंग फ्रॉम 7 ओनली.
Okay sir, okay.
Yeah. So when you talk from 7, you will say that now which of the activities is critical? You will say that activity G is critical now, not activity I. That was on your initial critical path. Which is the critical activity now? If you see, end of the day 7, if you plot the timeline for remaining activities, that would be 7 plus 2 9. This would be 7 plus 1 8, and 7 plus 2 9. So 9 plus 3 12. So your duration has now extended to 12, and your critical activity is G. So if G is your critical activity, so you have to prefer critical activity. So on 8 you have to start activity G. How many resources? It will take 5 resources, right? H and I, there is no scope of doing it, so G 5 resources, and this will go on till what, for 2 days. So for 8 9 I can write the same thing. Yeah, 8 9 you have got 5 resources. So now when can you start these other activities? As soon as you come to day 9, EOD 9. So it could be 9 and 2 11, or it could be 9 and 1 10, and 10 plus 3 13. So what would you prefer? Which is the critical activity now? Critical activity is I. So for day 10, critical activity is I. How much resources? 9. 9 resources, 1 day. So 9 resource, day 1. Right. What about day 11 then? This was critical, you did it. So either it could be 10 plus 2 12, or 10 plus 3 13. So which is critical? Critical is activity J for 3 days and 10 resources. So 10 for 3 days, so 11 12 13. Then similarly you come here, 13 and 2 15. Your project complete in 15 days. What about activity H, 2 day and 8 resource? And your limit was what, 10. You didn't cross your limit and you allocated it similarly, and you planned for it also. Okay, the activity is now, you achieved your target, right? Prepare the schedule if maximum available resource is 10. So from your initial 10-day duration it increased to 15, and this is the kind of distribution that you are getting. Okay, any query in this?
So while doing this, first we have to focus on what is our critical activities. If our critical activity is having 2 paths, then we need to check for the 2 paths simultaneously.
Yeah, see, what is happening is that we are updating our schedule at the same time. For at the end of each day, when we are taking care of the resources for the next day, we are updating our schedule to that day, and then we are checking which activity is critical then. So initially कोई और critical हो सकता है, but as soon as you update, your critical activities may change, and they are changing in this case. Okay, so
So now what we have done is, this is our resource leveling.
no, this is your resource allocation with limited resources. Your resources were limited to 10, so you allocated your resources such that uh, it is not over allocated, and for that allocation you found out the schedule. Like, to make sure that you are not over allocated, you have to follow this schedule, that activity E has to start on EOD 4 and finish by EOD 6. Activity I has to start on EOD 9. Okay.
Yes.
Maybe let me cross check for day 9 actually. if you take day 8 in consideration, for day 8, just a moment, we are going a little back at the end of day 7, right? So day 7, it would have been 7 plus 2 9, and 9 plus 3 12, and from here 7 plus 1 8. Yeah, it's correct only. So you know how to make a schedule, and you know how to allocate the resources for limited, when it is very limited, and you saw that your duration can increase. Now coming to one question, and uh, this is just for improvement factor. Anybody who remembers the formula of improvement factor? See, if you remember the formula, we won't solve the whole numerical. Uh, See here, this was your value 1 and this was your value 2. So there was some improvement because you moved some things here and there. Okay, we will try to solve this numerical, and we will do it at somewhat, we'll try to do it quickly, so you help me make the right calculations. Okay, so what we have got A B C D E, then D E C D and F G. So it looks fairly straightforward. uh, 5 sorry D 5 and E3. What about F? F is DE. F is 6, right? And it is what? G is 5 and H is 2. So now if you write the values, okay, 0 6 0 2 6 14 6 11 5 11 6 17 14 and 5 19 19 and 2 21, right? Which is your critical path? Critical path is yeah, ACGH. And if you have to calculate your resources per day, guys, you are following this, right? I mean, we have not done anything new. Are the values correct? Can you please check? Guys, are you still here?
Yes, sir.
So values are correct, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so Let's just have it on the resources maximum. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 11 12 13 14 15 16 17 18 19 20 21. Okay, so on day 1, which activities? Activity A and B, resource utilized 5. Or should we draw it in the same manner that we did previously? This gave us some better visualization idea, right? On how to, on which activity to shift. Guys,
This one I can go with this table curve.
which one?
This table curve, what I have done now.
The step, I mean E1, E2, E3 one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the critical path, let's make it first ACGH.
It's,
Okay, ACGH. What about activity A, duration 6 and resource utilization 2? What about activity C then, duration 8 and resource utilization 3? Right. What about activity G, 5 and 2? And H, 2 and 3? So we are covered with A, C, G, H, and we know that whatever leveling we do, if we have to complete it within this duration, we won't be moving A, C, G, and H anyway, right? What about remaining activities? B, it is 0 to 2. So you have got activity B here, 1, 2, 3. Then what about activity D? 6 to 11. And how much? 5 days. 5 days, 5 resources. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 days, 5 resources. This is got D. In this you have got D. But yeah. What about other activities? We have done with D. E. E is 2 to 5. And resource how much? 4 resources. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And 2 to 5. So this becomes your E. What about activity F then? 11 to 17. And resource utilization is 3. So 3. And here also 3. For how many days? 3 more days. Okay, so have you plotted everything now? A, C, G, H, B, E, D, F. Okay, this is the histogram that you have currently. What you have asked is, what is the question? Yeah, perform resource leveling within the minimum project duration for the smallest number of workers. So minimum project duration is 21, that we know. Smallest number of workers, how can you get it? You have to start shifting the activities, right? And the only way to do is to shift non-critical activities. Critical activities are fixed. So let's calculate which is float for non-critical activities. 21, 19, 19 minus 6, 13, For this one it would be 13 or let's see for this side also 9. What about activity D? It can finish by which date? Latest finish time for
13.
activity D? 13, right? So 13 minus 5, it gives us 7. And for activity B, it would be
7.
so 7 minus 2, 5. Yeah. So what is the total float for these activities? Which activity? B, D, E, and F. For B, it is 5. For D, it is how much?
2.
Wait a minute. This should be 8. And similarly, this should also be 8. And this should be 6. So this is 6 and this is 2. What about activity E? You have got 8.
8,
And for activity F, 2.
2.
So from the early start times, you know that you can move these activities. Let me write the values here itself. B, D, E, F, 6 to 8. So which activity are you interested in moving to reduce the duration? Sorry, to reduce the resource allocation.
Non-critical activities we can shift.
Okay, so we are focused on non-critical activities only. Non-critical activities are these ones. Okay. So which activity to shift? See, you can from the figure itself you can see that maximum resource is 8 and 8 is on day 7, right? So anyway, if you have to reduce this, you will have to move this number. I mean, you will have to shift this block somewhere down the line, or not? Is there any other way? See, are you getting it? That maximum resource right now you can see that it is allocated 8 for days 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So if you have to bring this number down, you will have to try to shift this block. And also you have got 8 days of scope here in D, right? D there is no D there is 2 days scope only. This was 8 and this was 2. So is there any benefit of moving D by 2 days here or there?
No, sir.
Visually you can see that it is of no use, but can you prove it via some calculations? So improvement factor for activity D moving 2 days. Okay, so what would it be? What is the resource utilization for D? R is equal to 5. 5 times, if you're moving it for 2 days, for day 7 and 8, So sigma xi would become how much? 8 plus 8, 16. 16 minus sigma wi. So if it moves 2 days, where will it take space? Somewhere on 12 and 13. And 12 and 13, what is the resource allocation right now? 6, right? So 6 plus 6, 12. So minus 12 minus what? Minus mr. So what is m? M is 2, r is 5, minus 10. So what is the improvement factor here? Minus 22 plus 16. How much? 6 minus 6, so minus 30. Minus 30 means no improvement, right? So there is you won't get any improvement if you move d by 2 days. Similarly, you have got scope in f also. So
Sir, how you did that? Explain that step, sir. Sigma wi and sigma I.
okay, so let me do it from starting for improvement factor for f. Okay, f and 2 days. So this is the starting point for f. If you move, this is the est for f, right? Or whatever you have allocated right now, day 12 and day 13. If you move it for 2 days, these 2 days will be empty. This will become your x, and which other 2 days will be occupied? Day 18 and 19. So this will become your w. And what was the resource utilization? So r was 3. So 3 times sigma xi on day 12 and day 13. What was the resource allocation initially? 6, right? So 6 and 6 plus 6 minus on day 18, 19, how much it was? 2 plus 2, minus 4, minus what is mr? What is m in this case? M is again 2, so minus 6. So what is the improvement factor here? 12, yeah, 6. So you can say that if you move f by 2 days, even though you cannot see the improvement in maximum duration, right? Sorry, maximum resource allocation, still it would be somewhat leveled than the previous case. This is what improvement factor tells you. So you would like to move f by 2 days. You got the formula for improvement factor, how to use it? Because there are a couple of numericals based on this. Or, sir, did you get it or do you want me to repeat it?
Sir, once again repeat, sir.
Okay, so let's say you have been asked what is the IF if f starts 2 days later than its EST. Okay, so what is the formula for improvement factor? It is R, number of resources, R for which? For activity under consideration and how many days you are moving. Sigma xi, the days from which the resources, from which the activity has been moved, to day to which the activity has been moved, minus the number of days affected and resources. So resource from which days f was moved to the days f moved M is days affected, net, okay, days moved you can just write, and R is again resources for F. So if you see, uh, R is how much for activity F? It is 3, right? So R is equal to 3. What about xi? From where is it moved? From day 12 and 13. So sigma xi is equal to x12 plus x13. What was x12 initially? It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and similarly for 13 also. So what about wi? Now if you move f by 2 days, then where will it move? It will move to this area. These two new days are being affected, 18 and 19. So W18 plus W19. What was W18 and W19 initially? 1, 2, 2 each, right? So 2 plus 2, 4. M, 2. So if you calculate it, what will be the IF? 3 times 12 minus 4 minus 6. So it would be 3 into 2, 6, greater than 0. So it is some improvement. Is it clear now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we have kind of touched everything related to resource scheduling from the course. We saw the loading, we saw how to make the histograms, then how to try to solve these questions visually, then how to calculate the moments, and we also saw that if there is some improvement, the moment reduces. So that kind of gives you the proof of minimum moment algorithm. Then we saw how to calculate improvement factors also, and if there is some resource allocation limit that has been given to you, so how to schedule keeping in mind the limit on resources. So any questions or anything that you would like me to repeat?
Sir, in the resource leveling, we need to find this improvement factor for means to reach to solution.
Yes, but see, you can go on arbitrarily shifting your activities here and there such that the histogram looks quite leveled. It looks closer to the ideal one that you want it to be. So you don't need to calculate the improvement factor each and every time. But in some cases where you don't visually see, it would be better to have some mathematical support behind us. This is like only one way of solving this method. I mean, solving this issue of resource leveling, minimum moment algorithm, and to check whether we are moving towards improvement or not, we are just subtracting the minimum moments of both the cases, and that value we are quoting as improvement factor, nothing else.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. So this brings us to the end of this session. Thank you very much for joining. Hopefully I will see you in the next sessions. Thank you guys.
Thank you, sir.